Okay. Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, and ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. Okay, y'all. So the rains came, the storms came yesterday, the lightning came, the hail came yesterday, by the way. Hudco Roofing, if you had hail. We'll get to that in a bit. Storms came, and as you all know by now, postponed the Baton Rouge regional. So rains came while Tulane and Sam Houston were in the seventh inning, and Sam Houston was leading. Sorry. Sam Houston was leading 7-2, and the delays came, and they were expected to resume around like 5:50 or just before 6 o'clock, and ultimately the lightning was too bad and just persisted and persisted and persisted, and ultimately they could never get that game resumed. So today there's going to be a lot of action out at the box. So the rains came, the lightning came. 7-2, Sam Houston on top of Tulane. That game resumes at noon. So it's presently, if you're watching this with us live, 9:03 Central Time. That game resumes in 3 hours. They are again in the seventh. You got to have an hour between games. So the hope is you get that game done quickly, and LSU and Oregon State will play at 2 p.m. And then you will have an elimination game tonight. So the winner of Sam Houston and Tulane, which looks like it'll be Sam Houston, unless if Tulane rallies, will play the loser of the LSU Oregon State game tonight, which sets up a Monday championship game and potentially the if necessary game Monday night. So whereas a typical regional, the sole if necessary game would be on Monday, now you are definitely going to have a championship game Monday and potentially the if necessary game Monday night. So effectively where you would typically play, a team would have to play 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday, potentially 1 Monday. Now instead it was 2 games Sunday, potentially 2 games Monday. So it just sort of compresses everything. Instead of everyone having a day off before the if necessary Monday game, you'd have about an hour, and then you play the if necessary game on Monday. So a lot of baseball ahead here over the next 36 hours or so to decide this regional. We fully expecting that it'll be Ty Floyd going for LSU. Of course, Jay Johnson hasn't made that announcement yet. I haven't looked at the comments yet, but I'm certain some of y'all are going to say, "Well, see, it's a good thing they played or started Paul Skeens started Paul Skeens against Tulane because of the rain." Not exactly, because quite honestly, what you could have done if you do advance is then you would have just moved Paul Skeens to the day 2 starter in the Super Regional, and Jimmy James said the phone's ringing. That's not actually the phone ringing. Drew loves to play all the ringtones. He has like not a fake phone, but he's got my old phone, which has no data on it. And so we'll connect to Wi-Fi and he'll like watch YouTube videos or just the videos on my phone. And then he likes to go into like the ringtones and just listen. So that's what that is. He's just listening to ringtones. But anyway, the Skeens thing, because I'm sure some of y'all are going to post about it or ask about it, had, again, and it's all water under the bridge at this point. Like, it's moved. They moved on. But it would have been very easy. Then you just move Skeens to the day 2 starter of the Super Regional, which is no big deal. The bigger conundrum question, whatever, would be, who do you start game 1 of the Super Regional? Had it gone that way. Because if Floyd throws today, would you turn Floyd around on Friday. I mean, either way, that's not happening because you pitched Skeens already, meaning now Skeens will pitch if you advance, Skeens pitches the first game of the Super Regional, which, by the way, will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Skeens will pitch Friday. Floyd will now go on short rest. Presumably, Floyd will go today. And then if you advance, Floyd would go Saturday in the Super. So Floyd's going to pitch on short rest. Point is, everyone who's talked about the whole short rest thing, it's really not a big deal because you do it throughout the year anyway. So, I mean, you don't want to make a habit of it, but in this instance, it's what it's going to be. You'll have Skeens on Friday in full rest, and it provided you advance, and Floyd Saturday likely on short rest now. Okay, let's say some good mornings. Jason Mobile, good morning. Okay. He said before we get started on baseball, Ruckus had the black SBs and the white SB dunks with the gum bottom. If you're looking, they're clean shoes. Now on to baseball, go Tigers. Appreciate the sneakerheads, always looking out. Hey, by the way, I'm sure there are some, if not many of you, that also follow me on Twitter. Twitter can be a toxic place. It can be. I mean, a lot of people go to Twitter with the intent of being negative or adversarial. Yesterday was a particularly salty day. Let's not do that. Let's put the swords down, put the knives down, and let's cheer for our team today, man. Let's get behind the Tigers. Let's have a good day. Let's go win a regional game and advance and put the pressure on Oregon State and whoever, I guess, presumably Sam Houston in advance. Get this team rolling. So, all the fighting on Twitter yesterday was really weird. Anyway, okay, Wendell Norman, good morning, Cajun Country. If I want a pre-hurricane inspection in Lafayette, do you service that area? Yes, Cajun Country, we do. We have boots on the ground in Lafayette, so give us a shout at HUDCO. If you go, it's a good time to remind people. So, yesterday it was hail in St. Gabriel, awful weather in New Orleans, awful weather all over Baton Rouge, really, but there were awful hail cells, to the eastern part of Baton Rouge, toward Hammond. I mentioned St. Gabriel, all that area. Yes, absolutely, man. And yes, Lafayette, the whole state. We have boots on the ground in the entire state. We have people they reside in Lafayette that service the Lafayette area. Yes. Inspectors, crews, everything. So yes, so if you would just click the HUDCO link, especially if you were part of that storm system yesterday and you had hail, especially, I want to remind y'all, for so many people, your insurance deductible for your wind hail deductible is lower than your named storm deductible. So if you had hail yesterday, it's probably going to be cheaper for you with your deductible to replace your roof with your wind hail deductible than it would be if a hurricane comes and rips shingles off your roof and you have to replace it. So I'm telling you, at least minimum, check that wind hail deductible and give us a call. Let us come do a free, no obligation roofing inspection. Again, HUDCO's pinned in the chat on both YouTube and Facebook. Okay, Jesse Brown, Bradley, and Graffia, good morning. Jesse Post, morning, Matt. We got nothing in Mandeville from weather in Baton Rouge. Kind of weird. Yeah, it was weird. I mean, that cell came right over us yesterday. And the rain and stuff wasn't terrible. The problem was the lightning. And the lightning was just popping all around Alec Box Stadium. Let's see. Mike the Tiger, why don't they start regionals with possible weather delays on Thursday like they do in the regular season? Well, you provide for a 4-day regional. You provide for a Friday to Monday regional. And that's because everyone typically, you're playing conference tournaments through Sunday. So you want to make sure everybody has equal rest. Now, the interesting thing is obviously supers stagger. So half of the super regionals are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Half the super regionals are Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it has happened before where teams that play Friday, Saturday, Sunday super regionals will have clinched a spot at Omaha if they win Friday, Saturday before a team that's the last to start on Saturday even plays a game. So it's kind of odd how it plays that way. Let's see, Cajun Country. I do not have a good feeling about tonight. If they lose, they have to go in 4 games in days. 4 games in 2 days. I got yes. If you lose, you're playing 4 games in 2 days. You're playing back-to-back doubleheaders, which is why it is super important for you to play through the winners bracket. I know that's obvious, but it's particularly obvious for this team, like we talk about often, because they don't have the pitching to pitch their way out of a loser's bracket. Whereas in a typical regional setting, you'd play your game Friday, you'd come back and play a game on Saturday, loser's bracket, winner's bracket. And then if you're in the loser's bracket, you potentially play 2 on Sunday and then potentially 1 Monday, right? So Sunday would be the only day you play a doubleheader. Because of the delay yesterday, now you would have to play, loser would have to play a doubleheader. The loser of the winner's bracket game would have to play doubleheader Sunday and doubleheader Monday to win the regional. So yes, it is complex. Cliff Nelson, good morning. Sipping coffee on Sunday mornings with no lemon cookies is an awful way to live. Cliff, I'm gonna tell you what, man. Honestly, I told Erica not long ago. I said I want you to make lemon cookies because, like, I don't ever. She only makes them for whiskey and wine during football season, and I was like, I want lemon cookies at the house. So she's gonna make a batch, and I said for one of these weeks on for Scone and tea, I'll bring some for you when you're there. Jason Horn, good morning. Patrick McKenzie, good morning. Do you think we see some home runs today? Good to see the team able to score without the long ball. Yeah, Patrick, I do. I mean, and that's just playing averages, right? It's been rare for LSU this year to not hit home runs, especially just in as the weather's gotten warmer and the ball sort of elevates and flies out of the box. But here you go. Let's see. I'll tell you right now. That's not what I wanted. Doggone it. Oh well. I was trying to find the splits. Oh well. I was going to tell you how long. I just as a random. I don't like the LSU. Here you go. No, that's not it. I don't like the LSU stats page. It's very hard to navigate. Here you go. This is what I was looking for. All right. See how many games this year LSU has not hit a homer. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8. LSU's only played 8 games all year where they have not hit a home run. So let's see, you're 44 and 15. So you've played 59 games. And of your 59 games, only 8 times have you gone without a homer. So yeah, I'm going to play the percentages and say, yeah, they'll get a few elevated and leave the yard today. Bart St. Germain, Jamie Leday, Mark Reynolds, Ali Samanduri, good morning. God bless everyone. Thank you, Ali. Same to you. Sonny Warmington, good morning, Matt. Good thing you were on vacation Friday. We went hunting for sparrows with a grenade launcher against Tulane. So, Sonny, I don't know if you heard the show yesterday, but I said we went squirrel hunting with a bazooka and throwing skeins against Tulane. So, hunting for sparrows with a grenade launcher is another good way of putting it. Someone on Twitter, and I didn't even know this, but it was a Confucius quote, which said, what was the quote? Something about a quail or the man who chases 2 rabbits catches neither. No, that's not it. Hang on one second. I want to find this just real quick. Bear with me, please. I want to find this real quick. By the way, what a game last night with Clemson and Tennessee, if y'all didn't see it. Here it is. Don't use a cannon to kill a mosquito. I don't know if it's an actual quote, but Wesley Thompson tweeted me, said, Confucius says, don't use a cannon to kill a mosquito. That's whatever analogy you want to use, it still plays, right? That's basically what LSU did. They didn't need to throw Skeens against Tulane. They did. It's what it is. And so now you look forward and you, okay, if you're playing it out today, here's how it looks, right? You go Floyd in game one, and hopefully you win it. If you lose today with Floyd in game one, you are likely coming back. So you have to come back with whoever is going to be best to save your season. That's how you have to look at it. So ask yourself this question. If you win today, it's easy. If you win today, you're in the driver's seat. You come back and you play tomorrow with your best pitcher available, which we hope would be Thatcher Hurd. If it's not Thatcher Hurd, you'd probably run Javen Coleman out there. And at that point, you just sort of take it game by game, depending on how it goes. If you lose the game with Ty Floyd starting today, you have to come back with whoever is your best option remaining to try to win the game to save your season, which I would say would be Thatcher Hurd, unless if you use him out of the bullpen in game one. If it's not Hurd, you're probably looking at Javen Coleman, or this might sound weird to some of you, I would go Gavin Guidry. He's a guy that doesn't ever seem like the moment's too big for him. He has started, he has shown he can extend. So if you get into that situation today where you lose the first game and have to play a second, obviously it would depend on who you use in the first game, but who do you trust most to go try to save your season? Thatcher Hurd would be at the top of my list. Javen Coleman, Gavin Guidry would be the others that I consider. All right. Jason Horn, I hear Drew. Drew is in here. Mark Reynolds, Paul Losi, Aaron Hornsby. Good morning, Brian Broom, Jamie Leday. Are you surprised by some of the other SEC outcomes? So we can run through that real quick, actually. I am not, by the way, in any way surprised that Auburn was 2 and done. I know Auburn was the first team to beat LSU
Everything looks so good.
Sorry, hang on.
Right? I'm hearing the new Google Pixel is...
Sorry. Pop-up ads. Auburn was just not a great team. Southern Miss losing to Samford was surprising in the opener. Auburn losing to Penn. I know the way they did with all the bunts is what it is, but Southern Miss kind of throttling Auburn yesterday. I don't think that's a great surprise. Auburn wasn't a great team. That's one of the things where a lot of people have pointed out. That's why you throw Skeens, because you had, I think, 4 number 4 seeds beat 1 seeds. But what I would push back and say is, Auburn losing to Penn, like Auburn's not a great team. Coastal Carolina losing as a 1 seed, not super duper surprising. I mentioned Coastal Carolina losing as a 1 seed. That just doesn't surprise me tremendously, seeing outcomes like that. Sorry, 1 second. So, A&M's in the regional final. Look, that was an Omaha team a year ago under Schlossnagle. He's a great coach. They were a really good 2 seed that was sent out west against some teams with good brand recognition, right? Stanford, Fullerton, get some good brand names out there. But Fullerton made regionals for the first time in 5 years this year, something like that. They've been bad, they've been down. Bama's in the regional final in their regional, which. I was surprised. I'm not surprised Bama had a breeze of a regional. I'm not surprised by that at all. I was surprised Florida lost. Kentucky, I'm not surprised they lost, but that's one we're obviously keeping an eye on because the Baton Rouge Regional is paired with the Lexington Regional, so we're obviously keeping an eye on that. So Indiana beat Kentucky in the winner's bracket game 5-3. So now West Virginia will play Kentucky in an elimination game. Indiana beat West Virginia the first game. West Virginia came back, eliminated Ball State. So West Virginia and Kentucky today at noon, or I guess 11 a.m. Central, in an elimination game. So that's interesting, as Indiana is in the driver's seat there. Again, that's not a surprise. I don't think Kentucky was a strong regional host, and we saw them. They're a little different, right? They get them on, get them over, get them in. They steal a ton, and they just didn't have great pitching. So if you don't have that, it's complicated to try to win a regional. Vanderbilt falling into the losers bracket also surprised me. Oregon beat Vanderbilt 8-7, and I thought Vanderbilt certainly is one of those teams that's been hot and cold this year, but they have the depth on the pitching staff to make it through that regional. So I was a little surprised Vandy comes back and plays Xavier today in an elimination game. Let's see. Michael Cook, good morning. Bubba Smith, Aaron Hornsby. Avo Marzwani, good morning. Quick question. With the postponed game yesterday, how much better is the decision to start Skeens Friday? Okay, so that's where we started, Avo. I'll say this, two things. Number one, when Jay Johnson had made the decision to start Skeens, had done so saying, hey, we think the weather is going to be bad Saturday, not sure we're going to get it in, the last thing we want to do is have Skeens start and stop. Okay, then that would have made a lot of sense. That's not what he said. That, as best we know, did not factor into his reasoning why he made that decision. That's number one. Number two, it's really not that big of a deal. And here's why. It wouldn't have been that big of a deal. They did what they did. So now you set up to where if you advance Skeens pitches and the Baton Rouge Super would be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday Super. You set it up to where Skeens would pitch Friday, but all you would have done in that situation then is just bump Skeens to start on Saturday in game 2, because you're still a best 2 out of 3, so he's going to pitch. It's like, I'll remind you, when LSU you have to go back, but in 2017, when LSU made the championship series in Omaha, Lang had already pitched twice, and so instead of bringing Lang back on short rest to start game 2 of the championship series, they held him they went Poche in game 2. Remember, they started Russell Reynolds in game 1. They tried to piece it together. And then they started Poche in game 2, and they had Lang ready for game 3. Had they gotten there, well, they never got there. And so Lang didn't pitch in the championship series, as disappointing as that was. But that happens sometimes where you would set it up like that. This is still a best 2 out of 3, so no matter what, you still could have started Skeens in game 2. So if you win game 1, great. You start Skeens and advance. If you lose game 1, no worries. You bring back Skeens, win, and force a game 3 with Ty Floyd going. So it's kind of, I mean, it's a good question, Avo. I know a lot of people are going to ask it or mention it, and the point is, you could make it work very easily, actually, but ultimately you still have to get there. And so the question is, like, is the path you've laid out for yourself to get there the easiest by burning Skeens against Tulane? And I'm still going to maintain that the answer is no. But what's done is done. So now you got to go beat Oregon State. You need Ty Floyd to have a big day, and you need the bats to show up against Oregon State. The other thing too is Oregon State, in their opener, Sellers, their starter, went 7 1/3. So they used a couple of arms out of the bullpen, but I don't think anybody threw more than 15 pitches. So Oregon State, like LSU, has everyone available except their starters. Skeens and Sellers are not available, but everybody else for both teams would be available for this game today. All right, YouTube, smash that like button if you would. If you're new, please subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. We appreciate that greatly. As always, brought to you by Brock. Baton Rouge After Hours Clinic is always open nights and weekends, so if you need an orthopedist, skip by Brock. Skip the line at the ER. And head over to Brock. And of course, Hudco Roofing. Y'all do me a solid, man. I spend a lot of time here, put out a lot of free content. I'll never put up a paywall or anything. The one thing I'd ask is, hey man, you need a roof? Give us a shout at Hudco. The Hudco link is pinned in the chat, both on YouTube and Facebook. There was terrible weather yesterday. It is officially hurricane season. You need a roof repair, roof replacement. You're not sure if you have damage, want an inspection. Click that link. Literally on the homepage, there's a inspection form. It'll take you 30 seconds to fill out. It's like name, address, what's your issue, boom. and then we'll have someone call you, set up your inspection. Like, you don't even have to be home. Like, literally, it's just permission to have someone come to your house, hop up there, do a full inspection report, pictures, documentation, everything, and then we'd make a recommendation on what to repair, replace, file a claim, all that sort of stuff. So, HUDCOroofing.com is pinned in the chat. Randall, morning, Matt. Boys from OSU will be miserable in the heat and humidity. Randall, they did play last week in Arizona. The Pac-12 tournament is in Arizona, and it was hot as hell. So I actually don't think that the weather is going to matter at all. Should be a really nice day too. Let's see. Murder Giraffe, good morning. Brent Roban, good morning. Do you think this is a positive for LSU? Oh, well, Brent, what I'll say is the postponement from last night, the one positive, I would have preferred for it to have been a Saturday night, 8 p.m., beautiful night game at the box. You'd have had a great crowd, would have been a great environment, all that stuff. Playing today is certainly a better option than playing last night at 10 or 11 o'clock, because you would have had it would amounted to a midweek crowd at the box, as opposed to what you're going to have today at 2 o'clock, which is going to be people go to church, get home, change, get out to the box, pop themselves a cold one, find their seat, and cheer like hell for their team. So you're going to have a much better home field environment today than you would have if you'd played it last night at a delayed game at 10 or 11 o'clock. Cliff Nelson, toxic Twitter people run me hot. They're out there, Cliff. You just gotta have to ignore them. Murder Giraffe. I've thought about this a lot. Crunch the numbers. I think Paul Skeens only has a purple jersey, and that's why he pitched Friday. Well, no, it's not why he pitched Friday, Murder Giraffe. Jay lets the starting pitcher choose what jersey he wants, and Skeens loves the purple. As a matter of fact, we set up to have Paul Skeens on AFR when I was out, not this week, but early in the season. Maybe it was when I was in Napa. And so I was out, but Paul, that was just when he was available. I think it was in connection with his, you know what it was? It was the deal, the NIL deal he did in connection with Folds of Honor, making the donations to for every strikeout. If you're not familiar, Paul Skeens has an NIL deal, and for every strikeout he gets this year, he's donating $10 to Folds of Honor, which is pretty incredible. I mean, he's pushing 200 strikeouts right now, so he's going to make a really nice donation to Folds of Honor. But anyway, Musso so we had him lined up to come on, but I was just out, and so Musso did the interview and asked him, and Skeens is the one who said, "Yeah, like I prefer the purple jerseys." So, and Jay lets him pick. So that's why they wear purple on Friday now. It was Skeens' decision. Jonathan Martin, good morning, Scone. It's my 33rd birthday. All right, Jonathan, happy birthday to you, man. I hope it's an awesome one. Birthdays are a big deal. God bless you. I hope you have a great day and everybody treats you awesome, and all your hopes and dreams come true today, man. Happy birthday. Tim Gotro, let's see, Bradley said, Matt, what if we get bad weather on Monday like it's showing? Would they play Tuesday, or do they have to play Monday? Well, they can't play Monday. They won't. They would push to Tuesday. Then they might have a contingency where they would move the super regional or swap a super regional. I do think, I remember that happening at one point in the past where a regional got delayed, and so the super regional, was that 2017 maybe? Maybe it was where the super got delayed, so the Omaha schedule got swapped. But I think they would make that plan. They would make that contingency. Let's hope we don't have to find out. Michael Castello, good morning. Tigers, not saying I would have done this, but maybe Jay was worried you would get 3 innings in Saturday night, then it get postponed. Maybe 9 innings versus Tulane is better than 3 innings versus OSU. No, you're talking about with Skeens. So, again, if Jay had said initially, we're going to throw Paul game 1 because the weather looks bad on Saturday, and we don't want to run the risk of having happen what happened against South Carolina, and winning Friday puts us in the driver's seat in the winner's bracket, and we get Paul on his normal rest. Like, if he had said all of that, okay, like, I still disagree with the decision, but I can understand the logic behind it. Jay gave no explanation for why he threw Paul on Friday. And that's the issue that I have with it. Look, it ain't my call; it's his call, and he's got to live with the results. If they go and lose today, he will forever be questioned for the decision to burn Paul Skeens against Tulane. Period. If, like, I know some people are like, yeah, we'll always remember the shutout against. No, we won't. Like, Paul Skeens is amazing. We'll remember Paul Skeens for having a great year. But nobody around this program, let's be honest, y'all, nobody around this program really remembers what happens in regionals. Sometimes we remember moments from super regionals. Mostly we remember moments from Omaha because that's what this program is built around. In 20 years from now, nobody's going to look back and go, oh, I remember that time Paul Skeens threw a complete game against Tulane in the regional. I remember Lane Mestepe throwing 10 innings against Tulane at Turchin in 2001 in the super regionals. I remember Caleb Gilbert's heroics in Omaha in 2017. The 2017 Supers against Mississippi State, the only thing I really remember about that is the fact that weather delayed Sunday night multiple times and the game went really, 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 really late. That's kind of it. Hi! You want to come say hi, Daddy?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. What are you doing? What, do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi. Well, that was so sweet. Who do you see? That is Drew. And in 34 Mondays, who are we going to see?
That.
Baton Rouge? General? Hospital? To see? Man Brumman. Drew is counting down to his cardiology appointment with Dr. Michael Brumman, which will happen in 34 Mondays. Unbeknownst to Drew, his cardiologist has moved to Florida, and we will now be going there for the appointments in Pensacola instead of here in BR. But we can't explain that to him because he won't understand that. So now he is counting down 34 Mondays. We'll go around Christmas, New Year's week. Sonny's wife. It's laughable. Skeens needs a full week, and even a day less is considered short rest. He would be fine. Love to have him today. After Dad's show, we'll get dressed and we'll go for a ride in Daddy's car to the mall.
Oh, I saw it.
What?
Daddy.
Oh, Daddy go to church. And then after Daddy goes to church, then we'll go for a ride in Daddy's car to the... Daddy's new car. I'm sorry. Daddy's new car to the... Mall. Yes, there we go. So Sonny's wife, you're 100% correct. That is a point that is lost on a lot of people. And so for those that missed it, his comment was it's laughable that Skeens would need a full week. Even a day less is considered short rest. Completely true. In Major League Baseball, in a 5-man rotation, you pitch every 5th day. So full rest is 4 days. Short rest is 3 days. In college baseball right now, and I get it, these are college athletes, not professional athletes going through the grind of a 162-game season, but many are assuming that Paul Skeens will be pitching in Major League Baseball next year, and I am one of them. Very true. Paul Skeens has a routine, and he is meticulous about how he takes care of his body and all that sort of stuff. But yes, to assume that pitching on 5 days rest instead of 6 days rest is some giant detriment is just false. Went through it yesterday. Paul Skeens has already done that twice this year, where they played on a Friday, where he threw on a Friday and then came back and threw on a Thursday. Did it against Tennessee, did it against Georgia. In both instances, he threw 7 innings, 1 run against Tennessee, 2 runs against Georgia, struck out a dozen in both outings. It's moot because what's done is done. Skeens pitched on Friday, he's burned. The best case scenario is go win today behind Ty Floyd, make someone come back and have to beat you twice Monday, and we never have this conversation again. Like, that's my hope. That's, I think, all of our sincere hope. But all of the conversations about, well, regular rest and his routine, like, it's postseason baseball. You're trying to win tournaments now to win a national championship. This isn't your 3-game weekend series, and it's like you go through that to get into postseason play, and you set up your team, your pitching, all to give yourself the best chance to advance in the tournament. And again, I and most of you agree, throwing Paul Skeens against Tulane was not the right decision. It doesn't mean what they do can't work. Of course it can. Ty Floyd could go shove today, and LSU's bats could score 15 runs, and LSU could win this game, and they'll play a regional championship tomorrow, and sort of Thatcher Hurd or Javen Coleman or whatever, and LSU could sweep this regional, and we never have this conversation again. That's my sincere hope of what happens. However, if today against Oregon State, Ty Floyd struggles and LSU loses and falls into the loser's bracket, we will never, ever stop having this conversation. This will be the conversation that persists forever, because literally the best pitcher in the history of this program comes through, and you're like a once in a lifetime, or certainly once in, if you want to throw Ben McDonald out there, you're 34 years, once every 34 years, you get someone like this, and you burn them against Tulane and you lose the regional. Like, that's the conversation that'll be had forever. It will be, if LSU loses this regional, that will be LSU baseball's January 9th, 2012. You got the best pitcher in baseball, the best player in baseball. You're going to go 1-2 in the draft. You were consensus number one for the first 3 months of the season. Paul Skeens is a cheat code, and you burn them against Tulane. If they lose, that's the conversation we have forever around this baseball program. Hopefully, though, that don't matter. Hopefully, they go win today behind Floyd, win tomorrow, advance to Supers, get to Omaha, and we see what they can do up in Nebraska for 10 days. Let's see. Ryan Pike, Tulane was in the bottom of the seventh, right? Maybe an hour of the game left, hour and a half. I feel LSU starts earlier than 2 p.m. No, that's a hard and fast start time, Ryan. It would only be later than 2 p.m. So you need 55 minutes between games, but the Tulane game starts at noon, resumes at noon. Even if it finishes early, they're going to start the LSU Oregon State game at 2 o'clock. Good point of clarification, though. So no, the LSU Oregon State game will start at 2 o'clock, regardless. The only way it gets pushed is if Tulane rallies and that game goes long. LSU Maniac, good morning, brother. I see old Fitzgerald in the back. Is that the 11 or the 14? How do you like it? It's actually, I believe, the 8. It is the 8 year. It's old Fitzgerald 8 year. And I love it, by the way. I think, and I've had all the old Fitzgeralds. I think the old Fitzgerald 9 year actually is my favorite of all of them. Randall Offreg, Vandy lost to Oregon last night. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was surprised Vandy lost because I felt like they had the pitching to make a real run. I was surprised they lost to him. Danny Braywick, I was locked in on Oral Roberts in Washington. Yeah, Washington, that's former LSU pitching coach Jason Kelly. They had a really good season, man. That was actually Kendall Rogers' sleeper Omaha team, but some work to do there. 226 watching live on YouTube. That is awesome. Please do us a solid, smash that like button. If you're new, please subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Like the Matt Scone page, share the post. Let's see, Jeff McKithen, Matt Godwin, Craig Duga. We play at 2 and then potentially again tonight. So, Craig, LSU plays at 2. If they win, they're in the championship game tomorrow. If LSU loses, they play again tonight at 8 and then would have to win twice on Monday. So, the loser of LSU Oregon State is really in a bind because you have to play doubleheader today, doubleheader tomorrow. Kelly Gross, good morning. Daryl Fontenot, heard Oregon State was a little thinner on arms for the regional. So that is true, Daryl. Oregon State is down 2 of their starters. They are thin. And that is certainly a benefit to LSU. So they threw their ace, Trent Sellers, and he went 7 1/3 against Sam Houston. So he pitched very well. Jacob Matz is their other guy who's been a weekend guy all year. He's made 14 starts and 14 appearances. He's unavailable this weekend. And then Jaron Hunter is the other guy who's also unavailable. Hunter had been unavailable already. He had made seven starts and 7 appearances. And then Matz was the other weekend guy. So they've got some options today, and we'll find out what they're going to do. But just when you look at guys who've started for them this year, we can it's a good time to run through this, I guess. So, and we did it yesterday, but I'll do it again here. So, AJ Lattery has made 17 appearances, eight of them starts. He's thrown 44 innings. He's probably a good option. Excuse me. You've had a couple of other guys who've made spot starts. Justin Thorstenson, 10 appearances, 4 of them starts. He's only thrown 15 innings, so that's probably not a great option. But Ben Ferrer is one. 19 appearances, 3 of them starts. And he's thrown 41 innings on the season. So again, you're not talking about guys that are full-time starters, but guys that have started and thrown some innings. I don't know the answer of what they're going to do, but my guess, just based on the numbers and not knowing this team tremendously, like AJ Lattery kind of seems like he would be the guy. He's a righty. He's a 6'5" junior. And last year he made 5 starts. This year he's had a handful of starts. So primarily a bullpen guy, but a guy who has started this season. So, let's see, his long outing of the season looks like it's 4 2/3. So, and that was just that was against Utah just at the beginning of May. So that would be my guess. Again, just kind of looking at their numbers to see what they may do. AJ Lattery, 6'5" righty, looks like that's probably the guy that would make the most sense today. He's got an ERA of 4.09, 44 innings pitched on the season, 48 strikeouts and 44 innings pitched. He does have 20 walks. So I don't know that they have any great options, but that's probably what you're looking at. JJ Tyler, Matt, do you think we're sitting better with pitching than other teams left in the regional? JJ, well, yes, because you've still got Ty Floyd available, and I think he's the best available arm remaining. You've got Thatcher Hurd, you got Javen Coleman, like you've got arms. You've got other guys that you've relied on and trusted. You've got Riley Cooper, who you've trusted. You've got Ackenhausen, Guidry, Herring. You've got money. You've got guys that you've given the ball to and have pitched good innings. But the caveat there is, man, you got to stay in the winner's bracket, because if you fall into the loser's bracket, now you really have to rely heavily on LSU's bullpen. And the problem with that, as we've seen, is there are, on a given day, some guys pitch very well, but if you don't have the guys that can extend and get you 4, 5, 6 innings, then you're continuously handing the ball to someone new in the bullpen. And if someone drops the ball and has an off day, well, now you're in a hole. So what you really have to have is Ty Floyd have a big day. And I'll tell you, most importantly, guys, this is probably not going to sit well with everybody, but I really, really, really think this is a day where if you're LSU, you probably have to score double-digit runs. And this is not a knock on Ty Floyd. It's more how Oregon State plays baseball. Mitch Canham is Oregon State's coach, who played for Pat Casey. And while they have had teams that could slug the ball, that's also a West Coast team that has that mentality where they'll get on base, they'll pester you, they'll steal a base, they'll bunt, they'll hit and run. They will put pressure on a defense. And if Ty Floyd starts walking guys, they'll work counts, they'll drive up a pitch count, they'll work a walk. That's the kind of offense that bothers Ty Floyd. That's what happened against Kentucky. Remember, you had the error at third base by Tommy White, the pop fly to right, where Joe Bear overran it and 3 runs scored, and the coaches got all into each other because of the reviews, and it was just, no, I'm sorry, that was the Auburn series. But the Kentucky one was the game 2 where you had the error at third by White, and then Joe Bear overran the ball. But those sorts of things can get you off your mark. So really, really, really hope that we see Floyd today have a patient outing and a really good outing. Let's see, Jason Horn, Kevin Williams doubleheader today. You'll have the resumption of the first game, LSU Oregon State game 2, and then the winner of the first game and the loser of the second game will play tonight. So if LSU wins today, they don't play again until Monday. If LSU loses today at 2, they come back and play again tonight. Hang on one second, y'all. I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. Apologies. Of course, as always, shout out to Brock, Hudco. Need an orthopedist, go to Brock. Need a roof, call Hudco. Brock Rock and Wine, by the way. Really awesome charity event coming up at the end of July. If you're on Facebook, I have the Brock Rock and Wine page pinned, or I'm sorry, tagged in the description of this post. And then, of course, Hudco Roofing is pinned in the chat on both YouTube and Facebook. If you had hail, lightning, heavy rain, wind yesterday with all those storms, give us a shout. Just click the link. Just click the link pinned in the chat. Take you 30 seconds to fill out the form on the homepage. Trey Potan, good morning. Carol Messina, who will be the home team? So, Carol, the NCAA passed this rule in the offseason to where the higher seeded team is supposed to be the home team in the regionals. So I don't know if they just meant in the regional final or throughout, but LSU in theory should be the home team throughout this regional as the host. Trey Goodwin, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, as I did drink heavily for this game for obvious reasons. But didn't Eric Walker get the start game 2 against Florida when he tore his UCL and Poche came in? Walker did. I thought it was against Oregon State. The game they lost. I thought Walker got hurt. It wasn't against Florida. Walker tore his UCL. Walker tore his UCL in the first game against Oregon State where they lost. It was. Hang on, I'll look at it. They won the first game of that series against Florida State, correct? They beat Florida State, and then in the winner's bracket played Oregon State, and that's the game where Walker blew out. Here you go. All right, they beat Florida State 5-4, and then they lost to Oregon State 13-1. That's where Walker blew out. Here you go. I do not believe that it was. Well, it was not Poche that came out of the bullpen because Poche pitched the next game, I believe. Yeah, it was Gilbert. It was Caleb Gilbert that came out of the bullpen. Gilbert came out. Walker blew out. Went 2 and he blew out, and then Gilbert came out of the bullpen in a pinch and gave you 2 and 2. Then you just piece it. Bush, Peterson, Newman, Beck, Bain, Reynolds, all just to get through that game. You lost 13-1. Then you came back in the elimination game and you beat Florida State, and that's the game where that's not right.
No.
You came back and you beat Florida State 7-4, and Poche got the win in that game. And that's the game, I'm pretty sure, where he tied the all-time wins record. Poche was awesome. He went 8 innings in that game. Hess came out and closed it out. And he was throwing his, silly pitches with all the movement. And everyone was like, "Oh my God!" Hess struck out the side in the 9th. And then they had to come back and beat Oregon State twice, which they did. The first one, they won that game 3-1. And that was the game where Lang pitched and went 7 1/3, and LSU won 3-1. And then the next one, which was to advance to the championship series, LSU won 6-1. And that's the game where Gilbert came back and beat Oregon State in Bryce Femmel, if you remember. They brought Femmel. LSU knocked Femmel around early. They got a lead. They brought Rasmussen out of the bullpen. Yeah, Gilbert went 7 1/3, and then Hess the final inning in 2/3. So LSU won that game 3-1, and then they went and played Florida in the championship series, of course. So, you know what? I'm sorry. You said when you were talking about Florida, you meant in the championship series. Okay, so you were asking Eric Walker game 2 against Florida in the championship. No, Eric Walker blew out in the second game of Omaha. Sorry, I just gave you the full rundown. But LSU opened against Florida State and won. Then they lost to Oregon State. That's the game where Walker blew out. Gilbert came in relief. Poche shoved against Florida State, saved the season. They came back. Lang shoved against Oregon State to force a deciding game. Gilbert started, went 7 1/3, put him into the championship series. And then they started Reynolds in the first game of the championship series, had Poche in the second game, and then had Lang set up for the third game, which they never got to, unfortunately. But for a really, really strange runner's interference call on Jake Slaughter at second base and Kramer getting thrown out at home, I think they win that game, hand the ball to Lang in game 3, and dominate and win. But remember, Kevin O'Sullivan made a really, really, really gutsy decision when he went to Jackson Coher out of the bullpen. He went to their number 3 starter in game 2. Because they had Faedo, Singer, and Coher. And he burned Coher out of the bullpen in the second game, basically going all in and say, we're winning this now. Because he knew if he went to a game 3, they had to fix Lang, and, that probably would not have gone well for the Gators. So he went all in to win in 2, and it paid off. So, for them. All right. Jimbo Gravois, did you see Troy lose on an error on the last out? I did not see that. That wasn't the pop-up on the infield, was it? Or was that the pop-up on the infield? I think I did see that, if that's what you're talking about. Bubba Tatum, favorite Confucius quote. I never said any of that. All right, I got to go quickly here, man. I'm sorry. I'm behind on y'all's comments. My apologies. Clint Wichter, how about the ejection in the Tennessee game? Unbelievable. If you missed it, they're in the 13th inning. A player from Clemson is running off the field after a double play. He and Zane Denton from Tennessee have words, and the umpire ejects the player from Clemson in the 13th inning, which, by the way, you get ejected means you have to sit the next game as well. So that player from Clemson is now not available for today's game, the elimination game today. I can't imagine anything that was said on that field that would warrant an ejection in the 13th inning of that game. Absolutely atrocious. And I've heard some people say, well, they were warned. I don't care. I don't care. Short of anything physical, there should not be an ejection. Not at all. That is emotional game. You're in 13 innings. These dudes have played their whole season in this moment. They're locked in the game of the tournament so far. And this emotional double play, and the guy lets out an emotional, whatever he said, probably some 4-letter words. You're going to eject the kid for that? Come on. Nah, man. Not in any way okay. Sonny's wife, Auburn showed a lot of hospitality letting the other teams win. Goes to show y'all, like Auburn, and some people say, look, Auburn held their dude for a game. Auburn didn't have a dude. That was the problem. Like, Auburn wasn't great. They just weren't a great team this year. Peter Fenner, good morning. Shelby Kelly, nothing like the NCAA tournament. So much great baseball. Keith Parker, good morning. Peter Fennick, FYI, LSU was the 2, ULM the 3 in 99. Who was the 1 seed in 1999? So we were talking about that because in 99, we were talking about times that LSU threw their ace in game 1, which they've done before, but in 2-3 matchups. Like Marceau in the Eugene Regional threw the first game, which of course he did. Like, you're playing the 2-3 game. You're going to start your best pitcher to try to advance into the winner's bracket. So we talked about 99 because ULM had Ben Sheets. And so Skip threw Ainsworth in the first game of that regional. Excuse me, I said ULM. They were still Northeast at the time. So it was East Carolina was the 1 seed of that regional? Are you sure? I don't know about that, man. Hang on. Here we go. There's the 19. I want to look this up because I'm fascinated. East Carolina was the 1 seed. Good call. East Carolina was the 1 seed and traveled because, look, that was still at a time that was regional. At that point, regional bids were earned, right? Like it wasn't that you put together the bid and it was a financial thing, which happened for a lot of years when LSU hosted for like 13 straight years or whatever it was. So good call. Good. Who was that? Good memory. Peter Fenner. Good memory, man. I don't know if you remember that, if you looked it up. So yeah, like that. That doesn't that even go to show it even further? Like that I can't even think of a time when LSU was in a 1-4 matchup and LSU won that game 11-4. By the way, they beat Sheets. But yeah, no, good dude. Good correction on that. I would never have remembered that. Let's see. Mike Tiger, Auburn went 0-2 in a home regional. That's funny. Happens, man. Teams like Stanford to play at a playground park should not be allowed to host. Robert Cooley, cannons weren't around during Confucius' time. I think mosquitoes were. Dave and Durr, good morning. Georgetown 65. Celebrating the start of my son's birthday. Bennett turns 4. Donuts and morning scone. Keep up the great work. That's awesome. Georgetown 65. Well, happy birthday to Bennett. Hope he has a great 4th birthday. Hope he's still watching. I realize that comment was a while ago now, so my apologies. But happy birthday to Bennett. Let's see. Peter said, my roof was replaced after Ida before fortified standard became available. Is there a retrofitting option that Hedco offers? So first of all, absolutely. The question is, would you be out of pocket or would insurance cover to upgrade to fortified? Peter, that's worth a convo. Now that's something that one of our inspectors or our CMs would have to answer for you. That I just candidly don't know the answer to that. And for those that don't know, fortified roofing is something that the Louisiana legislature might in this session make mandatory for Louisiana homeowners moving forward. It's essentially it's a way of installing a roof that creates greater water damage protection. Essentially, you could still have wind come and blow shingles off and all, but what it's going to prevent is water from getting into your home with another layer of protection, thus protecting your home's internal contents. Because when you think about it, insurance companies, not like the real damage isn't replacing a roof. It's when you have a roof damage, but then you get water in the house, and now you're cutting sheetrock, you're replacing furniture and home contents. Like that's when it gets really, really expensive. So like Mississippi and several coastal states have already made fortified like a mandatory thing. You can save depending on who your insurance carrier is, you can save as much as 52% on your homeowner's insurance with a fortified roof. Because insurance companies recognize it. It's like, we would rather replace your roof and pay a little bit more for a fortified roof than have a storm come like Ida and not only replacing roofs, but we're also replacing everything in your home where water got in. So by lowering the amount of water damage, they're coming out financially better. So that they pass insurance savings on to you. So anyway, I'm telling you, and HUDCO was the first ever Louisiana-based roofing company to be certified as a fortified standard roofing company. Like we were literally the first in the state to be a fortified roofing company. So we've already done lots of fortified roofs, and it's probably going to become a mandate in our state. So anyway, good question, Peter. Thanks, man. HUDCO's pinned in the chat right there both ways. Okay, let's see. Joey Metke, good morning. Michael Tolliver, good morning. Nice shirt. Where can we get one? Man, I think Erica got this for me a long time ago, man. It's Retro Brand is the name, and I bet you she got it at Bengals and Bandits. Shout out to my guy Eric over at Bengals and Bandits. Great, he's got great apparel, but I think that's where this came from. But it's been a while, so I don't know that he still has this. Like I've had this for several years. But check Bengals and Bandits. Sonny's wife, what's the weather forecast for today? It looks awesome today. Today looks beautiful, and I thought tomorrow looked beautiful as well. But some of y'all said that there was weather in the forecast for tomorrow, or rain in the forecast for tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, today beautiful. You're looking at a high of 90 today. let's see. Boom. Boom. Here you go. Today, high of 90. Monday, they're calling for afternoon thunderstorms. Oh boy. So today looks good. It says today maybe a stray shower thunderstorm possible, 20% chance. So I mean, you're probably good for today, but tomorrow night looks challenging. And then rain Tuesday, rain in the forecast every day next week. You better get it in. Like, it would be wonderful if LSU could just take care of business this afternoon and then come back tomorrow in the early game and just like send this thing on to the supers. Justin Marquez, good morning. Austin Kidder, good morning. Looking forward to your post-game show now that we don't have to stay up late. Very true. I'm open to doing it too. If y'all are around today when LSU and Oregon State goes final, I'll fire up a post-game show. We'll look forward to it. Carl the Cat, what's going on? Carl the Cat, good to see you, man. Yes, it'll go down as one of the biggest head scratchers. Now there's time for LSU to hit the ball and Floyd to continue to solid starts. Randall Offrick, what is Folds of Honor? Good question, Randall. So Folds of Honor it's a charitable organization which creates scholarships for the children of soldiers killed in action, military men and women killed in action. It's, if you've never heard the story behind Folds of Honor, the gentleman's name who started Folds of Honor, gosh, I'm blanking on his name, hang on. We've done a lot with Folds of Honor over the year. Dan Rooney is his name. Dan Rooney founded Folds of Honor, and he tells the story. Major Dan Rooney's a military man. He tells the story about how he was sitting on a plane, and the captain comes over the loudspeaker and says, "You don't know it, but this plane is carrying a hero." And he mentions that the remains of this soldier were flown home on this plane, and they respectfully asked everyone to stay in their seat while the remains of this war hero were removed first and honorably. And so everybody sat and watched. And then, as Dan Rooney tells it, he was thinking about this soldier's family and what happened. And so he started Folds of Honor. And so we've done, at Guarantee at 104.5, we've done a tremendous amount of Folds of Honor. You're going to see Mockler. Of course, we've talked about it for those that aren't familiar. Mockler Beverage and Bud Light became the official beer of AFR. I'm not trying to be political at all, so take that elsewhere. But they've done like millions in donations for Folds of Honor over the years, and actually they have a new Budweiser and Bud Light I probably shouldn't leak this, but I'll tell you, Folds of Honor cans coming out as well, which was planned well before any of the stuff. So don't go there, please. Don't be a cynical. Don't live life in cynicism. Like, acknowledge when there's good that happens in the world. And so over the years, Anheuser-Busch, and certainly by extension locally here, Mockler has been a great supporter of Folds of Honor. It's a great organization. Anyway, we like a lot of times at Calandro's, the whiskey raffle, several years, Folds of Honor was their beneficiary. We've held golf tournaments at 104.5 ESPN to benefit Folds of Honor. So yeah, we've done a lot with Folds of Honor. So anyway, for the Randall asked, and the reason is because Paul Skeens, of course, was at Air Force. His he did an NIL deal, and part of his NIL deal is that he's going to donate $10 for every strikeout he gets this year to Folds of Honor. So he's going to be able to make a really nice donation to Folds of Honor by the end of the year. Trivia Carter, good morning. Brian Wynn, good morning. Bo, good morning. Delay is letting me get to the box. The game box is going to be rocking. See, that's the Bo. We talked about it earlier. It's a great point. Like, well, yes, it would have been great to play that game last night at 8 o'clock at its scheduled time. It would have been Saturday night, packed out at the box and everything. Playing today at 2 is a much better option than playing last night at 10, because had they played that game in a weather delay start at 10, 11 o'clock, you would have had a midweek crowd at the box. Instead, now at 2 o'clock on a beautiful Sunday, people are going to go to church and change clothes, get to the box, and then go out, crack themselves open an ice cold beer and be ready to cheer the Tigers to win. So you were going to have a great crowd today, which you would not have had in a delayed start last night. Matt Lusto, is the run rule in play during the tournament? It is not. H-Town Tiger, we had some some bat bleep crazy squall plowed through Houston this morning around 12:30. Wow. By the way, HUDCO will go to Houston. We are licensed in Texas. So if anyone's in Texas and needs help with a roof, click the link pinned in the chat. All right, Brian Chandler, Mojo, good morning. H-Town Tiger, I remember Bobby Boucher showed up at halftime of the Bourbon Bowl. Remember Bobby Boucher showed up at halftime of the Bourbon Bowl and the Mud Dogs came back and won it? Dave Ender, when Drew shows LSU wins, great omen. Jeff Hawk, good morning. What's up, my dude? Hope you're doing well. Oh, sorry, man. I'm just now at the comments when Drew came in. My apologies. Austin Kidder, coming from behind to win the Eugene Regional was awesome. I agree that memorable regionals are the exception. Yeah, like, I mean, Gavin Dugas was homer and all that stuff, but by and large, we do not remember forever regional wins. LSU, legends are made in supers. Chris Chambers homer in the Super Regional against ULL. I believe that was 2013. Was it 13? Or was that 15? I think it was 13. I think Chambers homer was 13. Nola Gray. That was Oklahoma. Oklahoma was 2013. Oklahoma was 2013. No, it was Nola Gray. So Chambers homer. Maybe that was a regional homer. That was supers. What did they play? That was 2015. See, this is the point, right? All these years run together. We have great Omaha memories, but regional memories become so commonplace, man. Maybe that was 2015 when Chambers homer. Was that 2015? God, was that 2015? It was 2015. Yep, it was 2015. It was the 2015 Super Regional against ULL. That's right, because 13 they played. Well, 2012, of course, they lost to Stony Brook in the Supers. 2013 they beat Jonathan Gray and Oklahoma. 2014 they lost the home regional to Houston. Then 2015 they beat ULL in the Supers. That's right. Okay. So you remember those, right? Drew, Wheel of Fortune or Sesame Street. Antron Hemingway, good morning. Yeah, playing today at 2 o'clock. Rick Hess, good morning. Jesse Post. Sharkies did a good job. Drew looks handsome. Yeah, that's right. We went for a haircut. Went for the haircut on Friday. Over at they're great with him. There's a lady at Sharkies. For those who don't know, Sharkies is a kid's haircut place. It's near our house here in Baton Rouge. But big shout out. There's a lady there named Cynthia who's one of the stylists, and she is amazing with him. When he was little bitty, my sister Alicia, aka Lily, would do his hair, and we do schedule him for Saturday mornings when there was nobody else there, and I would bring donuts for the whole staff and everybody there because it was a disaster. I mean, there were so many sensory things going on that a lot of kids struggle with their haircut, I get it, but with him it was extra. But he got better and better and better with my sister because he was familiar with her, obviously, it's his aunt. And when Alicia moved to Kansas, it was like, oh, what do we do? So we found Sharkies, and there's this lady there named Cynthia, and God bless her because she is not in any way bothered by him and his quirks and nuances. I mean, some people are, I don't want to say scared of Drew, but you're hesitant because he doesn't communicate well, or he communicates sort of in his own way. So some people are sort of hesitant. Do I talk to him? Do I touch? What if he screamed? She is completely unbothered by all of it. I mean, she'll hold his head, and cut his hair, and she puts on Mickey Mouse for him, and she's awesome. So big shout out, Cynthia at Sharkies. If anyone takes their kids there, the Sharkies on Highland, right in front of the Home Depot. Shout out to Cynthia. Let's see. Keith Parker, maybe Wes Johnson thinks Floyd's pitching is better at Oregon State matchup than Skeens. That's Keith. That's insincere, man. Paul Skeens is the best pitcher in America. He's the best matchup against anybody. Come on, man. Let me rephrase that. That sounded bad. I'm not saying you're being insincere. Let me ask it to you this way, and this is what I said yesterday. Keith, I believe was his name. Keith. I'll put it to you this way, Keith. If I gave you the option, who would you rather have starting today against Oregon State? Paul Skeens or Ty Floyd? Who would you say? It's not a trick question. We all know the answer. The answer is Paul Skeens. The answer is Paul Skeens over literally any pitcher in college baseball since Steven Strasburg. So, no, like you would want Paul Skeens going in this game today. That's the point. And the counter argument for people has been, hey, if you can't beat Oregon State with Ty Floyd, you're not going anywhere anyway. And I would flip it and say, if you can't beat 40-loss Tulane with anybody on your staff, you're not going anywhere anyway. So you should have started Floyd against Tulane and had Skeens going today. But it's what it is, man. After Dad's show, we're going to get dressed and we are going to go for a ride in Daddy's car to the mall. Good job. Daddy's new car. Daddy's going to go to church. And then after Daddy comes home from church, Daddy and Drew go for a ride in Daddy's new car to the mall. Good job. Okay, let's see. YouTube, smash that like button. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Where are we? Derek Gobert, any idea on game times for tomorrow? My understanding, Derek said it would remain 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Let me see. If you give me 1 second, I do have the media release. Oh, what? I'm sorry, it's not letting me send an email. Oh, by the way, LSU Oregon State's on ESPN2 today, by the way. Okay, here you go. So the Monday games, the times are TBD. Game 6 and then Game 7, if necessary. This is officially from the NCAA. The times are TBD. So we don't know what time the Monday games would be yet. What we do know is that they'll play today at 2, and then the elimination game will be at 8 Central, and then the for sure game on Monday, Game 6. We don't know the time yet, and then the Game 7, if necessary, game will come if needed after that. Let's see. Bo, good morning. It's going to be a hot one, but I'm happy to go back to the Vox postseason baseball. Been since the Breggy years for me. Okay. Justin Marquez, if they keep scoring under their average with this team, it doesn't matter. Justin, and we talked about it yesterday. I know you were here yesterday, but I'm going to say it again. They also took a very different approach. We all saw it against Tulane. It was a Les Miles approach. It was run the ball, punt, play defense. LSU sack bunting and all, like, they don't do it. They had going into that game, they had 12 sack bunts all year. They just don't do that. They play for the big inning. And because they had Skeens on the mound, they knew we don't have to play for the big inning. Let's just, every run we give Paul Skeens exponentially increases our chance of winning this game. So they played not to lose against Tulane, and it worked. But was it the right play? We'll see based on what happens today. Dave Ender, if I wasn't stuck in bed sick as a dog, I'd crawl to the box today. Hey, man, Erica's sick too. Golly, Erica was up at 3:30 in the morning last night throwing up. I feel so bad for her. She's laying in bed right now. So. I don't know if she got a stomach bug or something, but well, she was feeling bad all day. Then last in the middle of the night. It's worse in the middle of the night, too. Let's see. Tiger Diver, good morning. 5-Star Sports, if LSU wins today, would we want Oregon State to win later tonight because they'd be gassed? Well, honestly, 5-Star Sports, either team, Oregon State or Sam Houston, they're both going to be out. They're similar teams. They're good offensive teams that are both going to be out of pitching. Sam Houston's pitching staff has an ERA near 6 in the WAC. I mean, that's a they hit the ball for sure. They can't pitch it. So I really feel for LSU, you win this game at 2:00, it's going to be really hard for any team to come back and beat you. I think LSU closes it out in 3 games if they win this one today. If LSU loses this game today, I think they're cooked. I don't think LSU is going to come back and win 3 games in 24 hours. I hate to say that, but we just know what this LSU team's weakness is. The depth in the pitching has not been there all year, and I've said it for 4 months now. Like, this team can win a national championship, but they have to do it through the winner's bracket. If they fall into a loser's bracket, they don't have the depth in that staff to pull themselves out, to pitch themselves out of a loser's bracket. Tennessee could. Vanderbilt could. Wake Forest could. LSU can't. They got to stay in the winner's bracket. Jimmy James, Kentucky, Indiana, had Indiana as the home team. Okay, so Jimmy James, it has to be then that the championship game of a regional is the higher seed team would be the home team. Cliff Nelson, what's more important, the pitching, avoiding walks, not giving up homers, error-free defense, or high offensive production? I think today it is you've got to avoid walks. If Ty Floyd has got to avoid walks, and the offense has got to show up in a big way. Like in this game, if we get through this game and you look back and you see Floyd went 6 innings of 6 hit, 4 run, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, I think LSU wins the game. What really concerns me is if Floyd ends up walking 4 or 5, then I think you need to score double-digit runs to win this game. What's more alarming, a bear in your kitchen or Little starting the championship game because of playing 4 games in 2 days? Yeah, I don't think that would happen, Sonny. I think at this point of the season, you've got the arms that Drew's hitting the front door. You got the arms you trust, and I don't think Christian Little is one of them. I mean, I could throw Christian Little in a game if you're up significantly, just as an innings or outs eater. But in a leverage situation, you can't justify putting him in. Man, I am behind on comments. My apologies. Hey, Drew. Okay. Let me, I'm going to go to the bottom and then come back up because I think I'm like 15 minutes behind on comments. So let me do what I did yesterday, which is go to the bottom and then come back up. If you're on YouTube, do me a favor, please smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that greatly. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page and share the post. We appreciate y'all for being there. Yeah, Trey Potan, Tennessee Clemson was great. Darren Gagnon, good morning. When are they restarting the Tulane Sam Houston game? Noon, yes. So for those who just joining, it's Tulane Sam Houston restarts at noon. LSU and Oregon State is 2 p.m. And they will not start that earlier if the Tulane Sam Houston games finish early. That starts at 2 o'clock no matter what. Andrew Johnson, hail last night in Shreveport again, doesn't matter. State Farm won't approve it. I'll tell you this, Andrew. State Farm is the worst. They are, by far, not even a question, the worst when it comes to getting claims approved. And I hate that, but so much of that is persistence from your roof inspector in continuing to fight for you. But State Farm's general approach is deny and hope people go away. So, but Andrew, HUDCO, our main HUDCO office, like HUDCO has been in Bossier for 20 years. I mean, HUDCO is Jeff and Sherry Hudson, hence HUDCO. So holler at our HUDCO, Bossier office and let them come take a look, man. Tell all your friends. Let them know you heard Scone talking about them, and love to help y'all out. Sam in Merrifield, does LSU win today? Samuel, I'm going to be very honest with you, man. Y'all know I don't lie, but I am very nervous about this game. I'm super, super nervous about this game. Oregon State can swing it. We've had questions with LSU's pitching all year. I think they are the type of offense that could give Ty Floyd trouble. I think this is a game that LSU's going to have to win like 10-8. And I hope they do, but I don't think you're going to see like this 8-2 game from LSU today. Let's see, does Paxton Klinger, Jared Jones learn how to hit SEC pitching eventually? Yeah, for sure. Look, they're both super talented guys. The problem right now is the swing and miss against elite SEC stuff. But listen, that was the same conversation that we were having about Hayden Travinski. Travinski homered in his first career. If you don't remember this, Travinski homered in his first career at bat. And we're like, man, look at this dude. He looks like Soto Popinski from the Mike Tyson's Punch-Out game. And man, he hits the crap out of the ball. And then he just couldn't hit SEC pitching. He just had so much swing and miss. Dude's hitting almost 500 right now. Like, and the sample size ain't small. He's got like 70 at-bats, and he's hitting 450 or whatever. It's like, Drew. Listen, baby, we're going to finish that show. Okay. And then we're going to get dressed. And we're going to go for our daddy's new car to the mall. And we'll ride the elevator. Good job. Yeah, Daddy go to church. And then we'll go for ride Daddy's new car to the mall and ride the elevator. And then we'll come home and watch baseball. After baseball, go to the park. And then we'll come home and eat your dinner. And then we'll get all clean and we'll go night-night. And tomorrow's Monday. And Monday you'll see Mimi. Go to Mimi's house. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. He's got to know his schedule. And on Monday, and in 2 Mondays you'll go to the New St. Lillian. And in 34 Mondays you'll see Man Brummond. He's got to know his schedule. Very, very routine oriented. If he gets off his schedule, he melts. He's got to know his schedule. Leon Williams, let's see. State Farm is the worst. Allstate is a close second. You have to stay on them. Don't let the inspector just use a drone. You have to walk the roof. We're very, very well aware, man. Very well aware. What regional other than Baton Rouge intrigues you the most? Well, obviously Lexington, because that's if LSU advances, who they'll play. But the Clemson regional is fascinating. What happened with Clemson and Tennessee last night? Ryan Slate, heat will affect Oregon State at 2 p.m. I'm not sure. I've been coaching JUCO baseball in Maryland for 4 months, been back in Baton Rouge for 2 weeks. They played last week in Arizona, and it was 110 degrees. Like, I don't think for 19-year-olds. Like, I don't know how old you are, Ryan, but 18, 19, 20-year-olds, man, I think we make a bigger deal out of that than it really is. Like, we've seen teams come here and handle that fine. I think it's different if you have a team, from a mild climate come to Baton Rouge to play a football game. Like when Virginia Tech played here in 2007, that night game, muggy night and bad, like that was brutal. But we're overselling the weather thing. I mean, they played it. After Dad's show, we're going to get dressed. Let's see. Richie B. Clemson could have won in the 10th inning. Now, yeah, he said, had they bunted, bases loaded, no out, next guy strikes out, then a double play. For sure that could happen. Or maybe they bunt right back to the pitcher and they get the force out at home and then ground into a double play. Richie, listen, man. Some people ask me about the bunting thing, and I'm happy to have that conversation with anybody that actually is interested in like learning about it. I don't know that everybody really is, but if you want to do any research into it, you can see that there's a statistic called a run expectancy. Okay, so like in a certain situation, like you have to start by agreeing to this. We all agree the point of baseball is to score runs, correct? Like that's the point. You need to score runs. So in every situation, every base out situation, there is a run expectancy. So meaning nobody on, nobody out. What's the expectancy of scoring a run? Nobody on, 1 out. Nobody on, 2 outs. Runner on first, nobody out. Runner at first, 2 outs. Runner at first, one out. Runner at second, nobody out. You understand that there's all these different scenarios. Second and third, one out. Second and third, no out. Second and third, like what is the run expectancy in an inning? And what statistically, this is factual. This is not guesswork. Like Drew, when you sacrifice now, I want to make one clarification. I'm not talking about bunting for a base hit or bunting to score a run. Like if they're shifted and you lay down a bunt against the shift to take your base, that's not what I'm talking about. Specifically talking about a sacrifice bunt, okay, to get a runner from first. You're giving up an out to get a runner from first to second, or giving up an out to get a runner from second to third. The run expectancy in those situations decreases when you give up an out to advance a runner. Because what the statistics show is the outs are more important, they're more valuable. Because there are a lot of scenarios that could unfold if you keep that out. The runner could get a single, a double, a triple, a homer, could walk. The runner could advance, there could be a balk, the runner could advance on a wild pitch, a pass ball, there could be a hit by pitch. And again, this isn't guesswork. Like you're looking at decades of analytics from all these people. This is what they do, and they look at all of the run expectancy, and bunting to move a runner feels like the right thing to do. But the run, and it's not to say you'll never score a run in that situation. Of course you will, but the run expectancy in that inning decreases when you give up an out to advance a runner. Like that's not guesswork. That is a fact. That is factual. Now, here's the caveat I would throw. That is looking at Major League Baseball, where obviously you have much more competent defenders. So youth leagues, like I go watch my 12, 13-year-old nephew play baseball. A lot of those kids can't field bunts and make a throw. Okay, you want to bunt because you know you're going to get on base? Okay, but you're bunting to get on base because you're putting pressure on the defense because you know they can't field it. But at this level of college baseball, like you should be able to field a bunt and make a throw, right? So anyway, that's the point. If you have a situation where you're in a tie ball game and you got a runner at third and you're bunting to score the run and win the game, okay. If that's the percentage play because you feel like you got someone who's really competent, can put that bunt down, you got a fast runner at third, and the percentage of getting him to win the game, okay. But in that situation with Clemson and Tennessee, like I don't know enough about Clemson or who is at the plate. Like, is that because the other thing too is in that situation, you have two at bats, all you need is a fly ball to the outfield and you win the game. Like, is the guy at the plate more likely to get a butt down or hit a ball in the air to the outfield? Right? I mean, and I don't know who it was. Like, if I'm LSU and I'm in that situation, I got Hayden Travinski at the plate. I feel much better about Travinski putting a ball in the air to the outfield than I do about him laying down a bunt. Right? So that's the thing that, Richie, you and I don't know about Clemson in that situation. Let's see. Justin Marquez, sincerely, thanks for the conversation and discussion. We often disagree, but argument and the free flow of ideas is part of the beauty of it all. Absolutely. Appreciate y'all for watching, man. Matt, do you know any of the pitchers Jay has coming in next year? Well, transfer portal is obviously going to be a big part of that, Randall. So no, because I mean, keep in mind at this point last year, we didn't know Skeens or Hurd were going to be part of this team. But what I will tell you is a lot of the freshmen from this past year's class who haven't pitched, guys like Jaden Newt, Aiden Moffitt, like those dudes are going to be dudes on this team. I mean, big old strong arm dudes that throw 100. You know, you're going to get Chase Shores back off the injury. So I don't know a ton about who's coming in yet because portal is going to be a big part of that. But keep in mind the freshmen that didn't pitch this year are going to be a big part next year as well. Andy Boy, good morning. Matt Lusto, do you feel different about bunting first and second no outs when you get two in scoring position? No, like that's I don't know if you heard it, Matt. I kind of just explained that. So Dalton Barnett, good morning. Hope you rocks gets well soon. Thank you, man. Dale Broussard, good morning from Orange Beach. Nick Hessler, Matt, what do you think happened to Pearson this season? I like him. He went from all SEC freshman to struggling at the plate. I mean, Nick, I think what happened is Braden Joubert happened. And Bear Jones happened. You know, Joubert showed you that he was Joubert was a guy that this offseason was not guaranteed a spot on this roster. And they were very clear about that. I mean, even though he hit, 18 bombs last year, they weren't sure they were going to have a position for him in the field. But they couldn't justify keeping his bat out of the lineup, and he played a really solid outfield. Like he lost weight, leaned out his body. I'm not saying he's a Gold Glove outfielder, but like the play he made the other night, running to the, I mean, on the run in right field was incredible. It was a tough day for the Braden Joe Bear Can't Play Outfield crowd, but that's what happened. Joe Bear beat him out. I mean, by the way, like the expectation this year was also that Gavin Guidry was going to be your starting second baseman. And Gavin Dugas said, So you forget how a lot of those conversations were going before the season and what the expectation was. But that's what happened to Pearson. I mean, I think ultimately the expectation was Paxton Kling was going to win that job. But you got into conference play and Kling couldn't hit SEC pitching. I mean, he struck out in half of his SEC at-bats. So Joe Bear has locked down that job. And then, of course, Morgan played and left, so you could get Bear Jones at first because Jones had 14 homers. And then Jones really scuffled. And so you found a way to get Pearson back in there. That was sort of the switch, is you got Pearson back in the lineup, Jones to the bench, Morgan back to first, and Pearson and Joe Bear are your outfielders now. So kind of just how a season evolves. But I think he'll be fine, man. Brian Penton, good morning. David Bass, good morning. Trivia Carter, hate Tennessee or love Tennessee. The chest bumping at the end was a great troll. I didn't see the chest bumping. Can Sankey do anything to improve the terrible umpiring in the SEC? I mean, I know this year, one of the big controversial things this year is that the umpires were graded based on like the K-zone standard, and because they were being graded on pitch calls and stuff like that, a lot of people felt like zones tightened up. Anyway, probably not. I mean, the only thing you do is ultimately go to robo-umps, go to K-zone as your strike zone, and go to robo-umps. And thank God for replay. I don't know if y'all were watching the Tennessee game last night, but love or hate Tennessee, I don't care. Like, the point is this could happen to anybody's team. Clemson hit a ground ball in extra innings, and Tennessee had to turn a double play, and they ruled the runner at first initially safe, and what would have been the game-winning run for Clemson scored in the 10th. They went to review, and he was out. And thank God for review, otherwise Clemson would have won that game on a play where the runner was actually out. Now, it benefited Tennessee, who ultimately came back and won the game. I don't like Tennessee, but you have to be glad that replay exists because the wrong team would have won the game. And again, it benefited Tennessee, but what's to say in the next game that wouldn't be your team? So anyway. Okay. We might be just about done here, y'all. Let's see. What's up with Neil? Yeah, Neil's done for the year, man. Brady Neil's done for the year. Let's see. Peter Fenner, Travinsky, and Thompson look like they're late to a gunfight at the OK Corral. Is that about the mustaches? Lee Wilk, what's up? How awesome is the AC football helmets? Yeah, man, that's Tiger Air. They did some advertising with us on I think they were doing live reads on OTB a while back, because the big thing about it is not just the AC helmets, but like think about for plant workers, construction workers, you can put those things in construction helmets as well. Let's see. Yeah, so Randall said it's hot in Arizona, but it's dry, no humidity. Like, I've been to Arizona plenty. I've been to Vegas. I've been in the desert. Brother, like, being outside when it's 110 degrees and you are cooking is not comfortable. Like, that's, I mean, brother, no. Being in the desert is not, don't give me the, well, it's a dry heat. I've been in Arizona and in Vegas in the desert plenty of times outside where it is so hot it's oppressive, like you are cooking outside. Let's see. Greg T, thanks for all you do. Any game coin updates? Also, why don't you mention them along with other sponsors anymore? Go Tigers. Well, I have my game coin logo right here. Every day right there, and I intentionally lean like this so you can see Gamecoin. I'm really looking forward to ramping up Gamecoin promotion again when the platform is launched. And, you know, I know for a lot of people it's frustrating, but I think what you're also seeing is like if you actually, and by the way, Greg, too, you may, I don't know if you do, but if you're into crypto at all, I think you understand how tedious and meticulous it is to get platforms launched. And the fact that in roughly a year and a half, Gamecoin is as far along as it is in its platform is warp speed. I mean, there are literally crypto platforms and projects, and I don't want to go too deep into the weeds because I know a lot of you don't care, but I mean, there are projects that people have been working on these projects for two halvings, like 8 years, that still aren't launched. It's just a very tedious, meticulous process, and I'm excited about it. I'm as excited as I've ever been because the idea has never stopped being a great idea, and I'm privy to a lot of the developments, so I get to see a lot of the platform as it's coming along, and it looks awesome, and all the features they've added. And on Monday, you go to Mimi's house. Oh, we'll go ride in Dad's new car. In 2 Mondays, we'll go to the new St. Lillian. You want to come see Daddy again?
New car too.
To the... He's got his pinky
Mom.
straight up his nose. In 34 Mondays, we'll go to the Baton Rouge General and see Brumman. He's so excited to go see his cardiologist. He loves Michael Brumman. But Michael Brumman left Baton Rouge General and is now in Florida, in I think Orlando and Jacksonville and Pensacola. So we're going to go see him in Pensacola. So we're going to have to explain that to Drew. That's the point. Anyway, so last thing, Greg, about Gamecoin. Yeah, so platform, it's a great idea. It looks awesome. I know everybody's eager. Nobody's more eager than Mailer and me and everyone that's been in the weeds for a year and a half on it. But it's exciting. Like the amount of influencers that have seen it, that love it. The ambassador athletes are on board. Like nobody, I mean, I'll tell you, like nobody's been a bigger supporter than Demario Davis. Demario Davis is so fired up about it. The Baton Rouge General Hospital. And see and Brian. Do you want to sit on Dad's lap again? You want to sit on Dad's show?
Poop.
Oh, he has P-O-O-P. Did you poop?
Yeah.
You pooped in your diaper?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to come change your diaper then.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to change your diaper. Thank you for letting me know. And then, I mean, the other thing too, I know is people look at like, you know, when you look at the crypto markets, I mean, you have to look at the Bitcoin halving cycle and the bull market, bear market. So we're in all of crypto is in a bear market. And typically during the bear, what you do in the bear cycles is you accumulate and then you take profits on this isn't just a Gamecoin thing or GMEX. This is like in any crypto thing. So like you build your bags during the 2.5 year long bear market and you take advantage of the bull market and make big profits. So you have to believe that during the next bull run, which should start in fall of 2024. Fall of 2024 is when you should start to see the run up, and then by the time you get into early 2025 and then into the summer and fall of 2025, you'll see the parabolic run ups. I mean, that's what history shows us on the halving cycle. So accumulate now and cash in later. Randall, looking for a nice hotel in Omaha. Any recommendations? I don't, Randall. It's been so long since I've been, and I haven't been since they've been at the new park. So, yeah, man. Danny Braywick, Dugas, and Beloso, both push guys. That's so true. Austin Kidder, as a Vegas resident, 95 degrees, humidity is uncomfortable. At 110, the desert can kill you in a matter of hours. The dry heat thing is a myth. It's so true. Now, I've also been at like Tao and Encore Beach pool parties in July when it's been 120 degrees, and I've got to make sure I find myself space in the pool to cool off or a cabana to make sure that I avoid some of the heat because, yes, it's brutal. Trivia Carter, I was stationed in Yuma, Arizona. I hate the stupid comments. Dry heat is better than humidity while standing in 115 degree heat. the desert is the desert, brother. Like, thank you to Austin and to Trivia for pointing that out. Like, the comments about, well, it's a dry. It's you are cooking in the desert. Zachary Snyder, based on what you've seen, what teams have overachieved, underachieved in the regionals? Good question. Vanderbilt losing yesterday was a big surprise to me. I would say that jumps out. I'm not surprised at all that Auburn lost their regional. Overachieved. How about Samford? Being in the driver's, isn't Samford 2-0 in the Auburn regional? No, I'm sorry, Penn. Okay, Penn. My apologies, Penn. Penn beat Samford. So Penn being a win away from Supers, I would say. Devin Kelly, good morning. Let's see, where else are we? Okay, I think we got to all those. Any more? Ronnie, do you guys ever think about another beer tour? Yeah, man. Well, we did one last summer, but it was kind of like a combo whiskey beer tour. We went to Avenue Pub in New Orleans, so we did whiskey tasting there. We did the Sazerac House, and then we went to Urban South. But I would love to do another beer tour with Lee. That'd be great. All right, Bob Poole, good morning. Trey Potan, any thoughts on Skeens being a two-way guy after seeing what Bryson Caglione done? It's certainly not going to happen at LSU. I mean, could a team elect to do that with him like Shohei has done? Maybe. I'd still think it's such an outlier to think that would happen. Let's see. Andrew Johnson might send you a PM to chat some more. It's a joke. What are you talking about there, Andrew? Oh, the hail. Okay. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, happy to help however I can, for sure. Okay, y'all, I think we're just about done. Any more here on YouTube before we bounce? Murder Giraffe, has Thatcher Hurd pitched against Oregon State? Oh, good question. Murder Giraffe. Thatcher Hurd was at UCLA a year ago in the Pac-12. He obviously had the back injury, so was very limited in his outings last year. He did not pitch against Oregon State. He pitched against CSUN, Cal State University Northridge, I guess. Cal Northridge. Pitched against Omaha, Long Beach, Oklahoma, Fullerton, USC, Harvard, Arizona, and Oregon. Did not pitch against Oregon State. Good question, though. Good question. I mean, would have been able to pitch against Illinois. Good point. Okay. ML Fody. The desert is the desert. Great line. I almost looked at it. It's the desert. I mean, right? Okay, we're done. I'm going to go. Shout out as always to Brock and Hudco. You need North Peters. Brock, after hours clinic is open. Hudco Roofing. Hudco's pin in the chat. Awful hail last night. Hail, lightning, wind, thunder, that awful weather. If you were in it, let us come do a free, no obligation roofing inspection. Hudco's pinned in the chat, YouTube and Facebook. Click the link, 30 seconds to fill out the form on the homepage. It's like name, email, phone number, address. What do you need us to do? It's like literally 30 seconds. Fill that out, click the link, fill it out. We'll come give you a free, no obligation roofing inspection. And if you've had your claim denied, let us go to work for you. Like, we've got people on staff at Hudco that all they do is deal with insurance companies. So we can work hard to get your claim approved. So anyway, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. All of us, people have asked today about Shreveport, Lafayette, Baton Rouge. We have offices literally in boots on the ground in every corner of the state. So no matter where you are in Louisiana, we'll come help. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Okay, y'all have an awesome day. Go Tigers. If y'all are up for it, I will jump on and do a post-game show today. So, and it might be, just because of the setup, it might have to be YouTube only. So if you're on Facebook, make sure you're subscribed up to my YouTube channel as well and set the notifications because we might be live on YouTube only for our post-game show. So be on the lookout for that. Okay, y'all have an awesome day. Much love. Peace.